is Julio Soto. I'm a director from Spain. I spent the last 20 years working in the film industry, mostly in the US. I got back to Spain a few years ago, and I have my own production company called the Think Lab, and we specialize in live action and animated films. It was a story about the effects of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, mostly around the city of Pripyat, which was a city that housed more than 100,000 people back in the day before the accident. And when the power plant exploded, the city was evacuated. And people were told that they were going to return to the city, but they never did. So the city is still intact today. It's a city that has been abandoned for the last, 30 years. And what we did in the film was we took some people that used to live in the city, brought them back to their apartments or to their jobs or the places that, where they used to spend time. And through their eyes, through their stories, we tell the story about the accident and also the story before the accident. It was a bit of it's a very artistic documentary. It's not a standard documentary. It doesn't have a voiceover. It starts with a bit of a voiceover, but it's mostly artistic. There is some very interesting shots taken from a helicopter. The story of the people are, I think, very poignant. And the film was very well received. We showed it everywhere in the world, like in National Geographic networks and many other TV networks. So it was very successful. I guess it was, back in, I forgot the year, 2003 or something like that. No, wait, it must have been 2002. I visited Chernobyl with some friends from the Ukraine. So I was offered this opportunity to see the Chernobyl radioactive area, like the whole area. So we spent a couple of days just, walking around and driving around. And, for me, it was one of the most amazing experiences that I had ever had, because it was a ghostly place. It was a very unusual place, not only because of the radiation, but because the nature was taking over already. You could see deers in the streets, wild boars. They had wolves as well. I never saw them, but it's like nature is thriving there, and all the buildings, all these Stalinist style buildings, prefabricated buildings, were still intact. Many of them still had, toys of the children that used to live there, and paintings on the walls, all kinds of things, because people never really took anything. They were told that they were going to return, but they never did. So they left everything intact. And I thought, why, we have 100,000 possible stories here to tell. So let's just make a movie about this, because it's so, as I said, so poignant and so amazing. We spent about 3 months in the Ukraine. We did a lot of research in Kiev, because a lot of the people that used to live there, they now live in Kiev. We had a team of researchers with us, it wasn't like a massive, the budget was very tight. So we had 3 volunteers working, trying to gather people that were potential characters for the story. So we did a casting kind of thing, with the most interesting stories. We had the director of the medical centers in Chernobyl, the one that organized the evacuation. We had the one engineer that was working at the reactor the night of the accident as well. We had people living we had a poet, a woman that was a famous poet at that time. She wrote many books about it. her son, his friend, a number of people that it was very interesting because we covered like politicians. We had the director of the power plant, a guy that was blamed for the accident. Actually, when you see the Sky series about Chernobyl, the famous Sky series, he has a predominant role in the movie. His name was Viktor Bryukhanov. He lives in the Black Sea now. Well, I don't know where he lives now because it's a war area, so I don't know. So we had an interesting, length of characters for the film. I wasn't really aware of what kind of festival it was, but I did some research, and I figured that it was a festival it had a lot of ambition, and I like the approach, so I saw like, yeah, let's do it. And so we won an award there, and it was kind of like the beginning of it sort of triggered that this film was selected in many other festivals. We won many awards after this. So for us, it was good because it was the first one. So it's still very close to my heart. After that documentary, I worked on another one called My Beautiful Dacha, which was a documentary shot in Romania and Spain and many other countries, sponsored by Channel 4 in the UK, SVT in Sweden. Well, many TV networks got involved in it. It was a comedy documentary about the transition of communism, Romanian communism, to capitalism, but seen through the eyes of this car called the Dacia. Now it's a Renault car. That was also a very successful film. Then I shot a film about the war in Darfur, in Sudan, back in 2006. And then after these documentaries, I started making more commercial movies, but also with an environmental message. I guess the biggest advice that I could give is, according to my own history, so to speak, is that I didn't wait until I got the funding cleared, I got all the networks involved, because I think what drives me and my personality is the story. So if I want to do something, I just go and do it, I don't wait for all the money to be in place, all the TV networks to give me the heads up, because if you want to make a documentary, if you want to make a career in documentary making, you have to risk everything. You have to like jump into it and do it, otherwise it's going to be really difficult, because the world out there, is very difficult. So I would suggest that, just borrow some money or save some money and just make your own movies, and start small and then you will grow. And that's exactly what I did. Now I have my own company. We're making multi-million movies, and we got all the investors, financiers, and everything is a lot easier. But when I started, it was very rough and very difficult.